I'm Captain Russ. We have Hattie with us today as well, and our two lovely deckhands, Kurt and we'll be all assisting you. A few safety things to go over before we leave the dock. As you board, you might have saw the life jackets above your head. In the unlikely event of an emergency, we'll ask you to put those on, and please follow the instructions of the crew. If you're on the lower deck and would like your windows up or down, please get a crew member to do that for you. Those windows tend to be a bit finicky, and they will pinch your fingers. And our crew is specially trained to handle those, so let them do all the heavy lifting. If you feel the call of nature, over the next 50 minutes on the lower deck, towards the back at the stern, we have men's and women's restrooms available for you. Skinny Atlas Lake is one of the cleanest lakes in the nation, cleanest in New York State. We want to keep it that way, so please do not throw anything overboard. Hold on to any packages that you have, and if anything should blow overboard, please do not go after it. But let a crew member know, and if we can, we will try to recover it from the lake. We are a non-smoking vessel, so I ask you please refrain from smoking over the next 50 minutes. If you must smoke, know that in 50 minutes' time you'll be able to go back ashore and enjoy your smokes then. If you have any questions during the course of the cruise, feel free to ask. We'll be giving a little commentary, pointing out some of the sights, and a little bit of the history of Skinny Atlas Lake as we do our 50-minute cruise around the lake.
It was a while ago last year with me and my
We're just waiting for our last few passengers now. We'll be departing as soon as we have everyone.
July is 3
It's
days.
always fun to go on this trip here. You'd see all the nice houses and they come back. Plenty of times. I got pictures on here from past. She was on with us the last time.
Food is delicious.
But I've never been on that one down there.
Yeah, they have a dining.
It is on here. Yeah, it is. It's not like you should see at night. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Because when you'd be downstairs,
I'm
it'd
just
be lit
surprised
up on
one
the bottom.
person hasn't jumped on it
It'd be lit up.
yet. I haven't seen Donald Trump put any name on here. He's got the cabbage for it.
Downstairs, they light up.
Well, maybe once he gets up in the presidency, he'll probably.
What, are you pro-Trump?
Somewhat. I'm just watching to see what goes on.
It's a circus, for sure.
Because there was one year he said it was running, and then he just cut himself out of it.
Wednesday night is the debate. Don't forget to watch it.
Oh,
It's going to be
thank
good.
you for. I love watching the debate.
Because
No, it's always good.
they're going to have that woman on too.
Oh, the one you said, you know, with that face, you should be president.
China got out. Holy Christ.
Yeah, every time you're watching something that's good, call me up. Sorry, I'm already in front of
Food is delicious.
I don't see no smoke, so I wanted to be in the EMS.
Yeah, so he left this morning driving?
Well, he left the house this morning, but he still has to see on the road. He had a couple things because the main trailer that on the spot is the need is to be inspected, so I have to wait for that.
He's going to call him when he gets on the road.
Yeah,
I'll
I
let you
don't
know.
know. I call him.
Do you know which way he's going?
If you went to
Texas? Probably. Well, I drove from New Mexico. Drove up to Tennessee.
I think if you take the northern states, you go through like Iowa.
Hi folks, welcome aboard. My name is Shirley. I'm one of the servers. We do have a full bar on board. The orange sheet on each table tells you what we have. Beer, wine, soda, bottles of water, glasses of water are free. Lemonade, iced tea. So So if anyone wants anything, I'll let you flag me down.
You do it. Let's look first.
Bottles or glasses?
Okay, glass of water.
Anything for you folks? Either of you? Anything to drink, folks? Anything to drink?
Try the cube or white.
For white wine. Semi-sweet. I think
Oh, there's another one that's
so.
dry.
Anybody need anything?
How long ago was that?
Tonic water. You want a lime or a lemon in it?
Had two different descriptions for the cube or white.
Lime in both? Okay, anything for you folks? Well, we only have there's say wine right here. It's Agnellas. The Avail is more like a Pinot Grigio. The Cuba White is quite sweet. So you want
to go away, and I want the top one.
okay, Avail and a Cuba White. Okay. Anything for you, sir?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I just came from there. Dog's fish fry.
Okay, so we sell local. This is the Cuba White.
Perfect day for just put that right there.
Figure I'll try one of the local. Okay, you want to try that? Make sure it's not too sweet.
Oh.
That's a Cuba White. It usually is pretty sweet. Okay, well, you might as well take the rest of it, then I'll give you a full glass, right? Sure. Okay. Yours is a little drier. It's not dry, but I like it better than the sweet.
Where you are from?
That's all right. I can't do real sweet.
No, I can't either.
Oh, they're from Rochester?
My group is from
You just coming for today? Oh, reunion, okay.
Okay, that's 12s. Bring you back your change. Thank you.
Their apartment.
The other side. Yeah, where the shops. But you're right.
Good, welcome aboard the Judge Ben Wiles. Off our port side now, you'll see the pier. The pier was built during the winter of 1988-89 over the crumbling remains of the original steamboat pier. Many vessels operate off this pier, delivering cargo, mail, and passengers to all portions of the lake. The most famous of those vessels was the city of Syracuse that could hold up to 600 passengers. And when she was no longer needed, she was burned to the water line and sunk right off the pier. On a clear day like today, if you look down, you can still see some of her remains below the water. There's some ribs and ballast stones down there. These buildings now that you see off our port side, that's the left side of the boat as you face forward. Those are the backs of the storefronts on Genesee Street. They date back to 1836, because in 1835 there was a fire that leveled all those buildings. The brick one on the end, that's known as Lake Hall, was owned by John Lake. Originally it was a factory manufacturing fine funeral carriages. Their business was dying, so they converted to a theater, the movie theater. They're now offices, luxury condominiums, and stores. Mr. Lake had an employee by the name of Thayer. And Thayer owned that beautiful Victorian home you can see through the trees there. And that park there is named after him. That's Thayer Park. The Thayer family wanted to ensure there'd be an ongoing, uninterrupted view of the lake there, so they donated their gardens to the Village of Skinny Atlas to form Thayer Park. that beautiful stone church. You see that's having some remodeling done there. That's St. James Episcopal Church. It's the second oldest Episcopal congregation in Onondaga County. It's built on the site of the Moravian hut where the Moravian missionaries had their first meetings. The Moravians were the first settlers to the area. You'll now see a 4-story stone home. That's known as the Boulders. The Boulders was the first multi-family home in Skaneateles, and it's named for the 4-foot-thick stone foundation. It boasts 13 fireplaces, including one in each of the 11 bedrooms, and a 4-story operating elevator. You're now going to see a gazebo with a flag on a flagpole there. And you look up, you'll see an old home there, built in the early 1800s. That was the home of Dr. Samuel Porter. Dr. Samuel Porter was the first physician in Skaneateles. He was on horseback on his way from Albany to Rochester, where he was going to start his first medical practice. But he stopped here in Skaneateles to rest and liked it so much that he decided to stay here and set up his practice here instead. Now there is a lot of history and tradition on Skaneateles Lake, as you're going to find out over the course of this cruise. And even with that, things do change, like the ownership of this property you see coming into view. You see this large green lawn there, and in a moment you'll look up, you'll see a white home with a red roof. Until this past winter, that was the Stella Maris retreat, Stella Maris meaning Star of the Sea in Latin. It was operated by the Sisters of St. Francis as a place of prayer and retreat for those of all faiths. They sold the property last winter and recently was auctioned off again. It was originally owned by Frederick Roosevelt. It was called Rosalie at that time. And the interior was designed by the famous architect Stanford White. Another owner of it was Burns Lyman Smith of the Smith Typewriter Company. Anyone here remember what a typewriter is? If you look now, you'll see we're passing some moorings. If you follow those moorings in the boats on them, you'll see there's a little waterfront right there, a little beach, some chairs and some boats there. If you look a little bit further, and you'll see there's a circle drive with homes on it. That's the Lakeview Circle Association. It was formed in 1948. As you can imagine, waterfront property on Skaneateles Lake is quite expensive. What these folks did is they pooled their resources together and bought that waterfront land and sharing its use and maintenance while having their own private homes on private plots further back. That idea caught on, and now there are several associations like it around the lake. Now this brown home where you see the boathouse that says Gregory's on it, that's Gregory's Landing. Scott Gregory competed in the 1984 and 88 Winter Olympic Games in the ice dancing competition. Throughout the summer, his family will often fly flags representing the various countries that he competed in. The next home I'm going to point out to you is very near and dear to us at Mid Lakes Navigation. You'll find out why in just a moment. We see this beautiful brick home kind of tucked into the trees there with the ivy growing on it. It's got that large brick chimney. That's the original pump house for the village of Skaneateles. It housed a large steam-operated pump, that's why it's got that large chimney, and it pumped water from this portion of the lake to the homes and hydrants in the village of Skaneateles. At the turn of the century, the city of Syracuse purchased the water rights to the lake and built their own facility back in the village, which is still in use today. But it made this one obsolete. It lay dormant for a few years and then was purchased by Judge Ben Wiles. Judge Ben Wiles was a successful federal bankruptcy referee during the 30s, and he converted the pump house to a home. He had a son by the name of Peter Wiles, and Peter Wiles founded Mid Lakes Navigation. The vessel you're on now, the Judge Ben Wiles, is our flagship, named in honor of the good judge. Our sister boat, which you saw back there on the dock, is the Barbara S. Wiles, named in honor of the judge's good wife, and that is our mail boat. Barbara Wiles was the daughter of Gustav Stickley of Stickley Furniture fame, and I think it's a great tribute to her and the Stickley family to have that fine wooden boat named after their family.
I can't even afford a brick over here. What?
She said I couldn't even afford a brick on it.
You're right. I can't even afford a brick over here, okay? One brick is probably
Look at how rounded
$2,000.
that house is.
If you look now, you're going to see a long terraced lawn. It's got the wall in the middle of it, and then there's a yellow home with a peaked roof at the top of it. That was the home of Charles Revson. Charles Revson started Revlon Cosmetics. And if any of you ladies wear Revlon, you could say that you helped purchase that home with every stick of lipstick you purchased.
You got to be a millionaire. It would be.
I'm going to
Even the tiniest one probably cost $6 million.
Oh, yeah.
Right, you are, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my buddy, he's got a
Wow, and that one is straight
Let's
on.
drop off to the bank and see how much a down payment would be from the bank. See how much the bank would lend you. I'll go right to these guys, the credit union.
That looks like a castle. One right straight ahead. Oh my God. Yeah.
well, it's 20 feet
Lot
off
of
the
land.
water. And, we've got 2 bedrooms, and another down by the lake and the road.
If you look up the hillside coming into view, you'll see a large stone home with a slate roof. It's got the 6 dormers, those 6 windows across the top. That was the home of Porter Bachman. Porter Bachman had the lifelong dream of building his own home, but he didn't want to build it out of wood or bricks. He wanted to build it out of stone. So when he retired, he went to the nearby Homer, Portland area and began quarrying all that stone by hand. Labeled each stone meticulously and loaded it in the back of his Ford pickup truck. Drove it up here, one pickup truck load at a time, and assembled that home piece by piece like a giant jigsaw puzzle. His wife was a nurse for the local school district, and the word around town is that she was a very patient woman because it took him 21 years to complete. If there's anyone on board that's retired or soon to retire and is looking for a retirement project, there you go. Build your own home out of stone. Just make sure you have a very patient spouse and 21 years left in you.
You better. You're going to be paying mortgage for 21 years.
We were just down there, now we're back up.
Everything around is well over $60.
I wonder how many millions of dollars these houses are.
I'm scared of it.
White light?
She's a gutsy woman. Oh, she picked him up with her hand.
Yeah, a little bit of a curve outside the
She got it scared. It's on your shirt.
I don't like her that much.
You're not scared, it's on your shirt.
We're curious. What's the average price
Oh, it's right here in your hand.
You know what? I'm newer to the area, but I'm surprised that the prices are lower. Because I'm from Chicago and New York City. They're definitely lower than...
I mean, I know they're in the millions.
Right, but they're definitely lower than what you would think.
Really?
No, I'm scared. I'm gonna guess everything's so high.
So anything that looks good is over $1 million. So anything that's on the water, but it's still, you get more house than what you would get in LA for $1 million.
She lived in a...
Right, so you can get a
You'll notice that
trailer
we're
for half
passing
a
some
million
buoys right
dollars.
now. These mark a natural shallow point of the lake. This is 1 mile point, 1 mile from the village of Skaneateles, or Shotwell Point. It also marks the natural northern end of Skaneateles Lake. Now, some of you that are geographically astute might be
Well,
scratching
actually,
your head
that's
right now
kind of
saying,
sad
okay,
what
if
you
this
hear
is
on
the
the news,
natural
all those
northern end of the lake,
wildfires out in
what have we been
California right
cruising on for the
now.
last
All those
15 minutes or
people
so?
have their lives in there,
Well,
and
I'm
then
gonna
it
tell
was
you,
just torched.
1796 Skaneateles Lake ended right here. From this point
Even if
back
they
to where
were
the
able to
village is, was
save
nothing but
insurance and
marsh.
stuff and
They
pictures,
couldn't be
they're not going to
navigated by
be able to
small
replace them.
vessels. Then a man by the name of Judge Judea Sanger came into town, and he wanted to build a mill. During that time period, in order to have a mill, you need to power it by water, so he built a dam in the village and flooded that swamp another 16 feet, adding 2 miles to the length of the lake, making it go from 14 miles long to 16 miles long. He then had the water to power his mill, and it opened up the lake to navigation by
He
the
didn't
large
mention what the
roads.
school
Keeps you
taxes
happy and
were.
relaxed. Enjoy.
Yeah, that's what they'll get you, Kevin, is the tax.
Maybe to find the place in Big Lake.
Yeah, New York State's the highest in the taxes that I know of.
Yeah, well,
If you look in along the shore right now, you'll see there's a small little boat
And
launch
look what
there,
it,
a
look
little
what it
stream.
has in it.
That's known as Sucker
Donald
Brook,
Trump.
named for the once abundance of suckerfish found there. So many so that you could drop a bucket in and scoop a whole bucket full of fish without even trying. So I guess P.T. Barnum was right. There was a sucker born every minute. They were born right there in Sucker Brook.
beautiful, beautiful home. You can drink, but it's probably year-round home, most of them, I think.
They have entertainment in their backyard. They want this.
If there's any reality television fans on board right now, if you look on shore, coming into view, you'll see a charcoal gray home. There's a circle of red chairs in front of it, around a campfire ring. That's the home of Tom Felicia. Tom Felicia's a famous interior designer. He was also the co-host and producer of the TV show Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, and that's his home right there. Couple homes over from there, you'll see a red home with a beautiful flower garden along their staircase there. And you'll see a friendly sign that says hello there. That hello there sign was painted by the Chapman family as a welcome greeting to all those who navigate the lake here. That home is now owned by Keith Hawkins. Keith Hawkins started the Green Hills grocery store chain in nearby Syracuse, New York, and he's kept up the tradition of giving that sign a fresh coat of paint each year.
Kids are in school, usually it'd be kids out there, people probably get
Some of these boathouses are just so cute, you know,
Kids
the house.
usually get kids out there
They
waiting.
make the boathouses look like
Yeah.
ours.
If you let your eyes follow the shoreline now and look just up ahead of us, you're going to see a gray shingle boathouse with white trim. That's known as Bessie's Boathouse. It's one of the oldest boathouses on the lake, built in 1913 by Dick and Janet Bessie, who also started the Skaneateles Sailing Club, which is a little further south on the lake. You won't make it quite that far today. Back in 1972, when Hurricane Agnes came through the area, the water of the level of the lake rose high enough that it was up to the base of the windows there in Bessie's boathouse. The Bessies do come out cruising with us once in a while, and one of them told me the story that when he was a small boy, he remembers standing inside the boathouse during Hurricane Agnes and the water level being up to his knees inside of the boathouse, and fish actually swimming around its legs. He told me they surrounded the boathouse with sandbags to help protect and preserve it. And that worked, as Bessie's boathouse is still there today for the Bessie family to enjoy. Now you'll see another boathouse here with round windows on it, and be sure to look at it quick at this angle before we pass it, and look at the roof of it. Does that remind you of anything? If you look really carefully, it's made to look like an overturned rowboat with a little bow, even with a little skate keel. The home with the red roof that we're passing right now, that belongs to Mr. and Mrs. Henry Beck. They started Tessie Plastic in nearby Elbridge, New York. Among the things they manufacture is the stick deodorant container. They hold the patent for that. So anyone that uses stick deodorant, you will use the container that was made by Tessie Plastic. You might notice these floating trampolines around the lake. They're pretty popular. Does anyone ever wonder why they're so expensive? It's because of inflation. Now this last home I'm going to point out on the east side of the lake, you see this two-story boathouse and an elaborate home behind it. That was built by the McDonald family. They built that boathouse first, and then they built the more elaborate home behind it. They used the boathouse as an office. And they sold that home at the end of last summer. But what's significant about that home is back in the late 90s when President Bill and Hillary Clinton visited upstate New York, it's actually right around this time of the year, because they visited the state fair. But when they visited upstate New York, that is where they stayed. Now, when the McDonald's sold that home at the end of last summer, just before they sold it, they had an auction where they auctioned off a lot of their furniture. And among the furniture they auctioned off was the bed that President Bill and Hillary Clinton stayed in. This McDonald does cruise with us once in a while, and I'm anxious to ask her next time I see her how much that bed went for. I'm also kind of curious if the new owners put a plaque on it that said President Bill and Hillary Clinton stayed here. No, I can't make any political commentary, but I will say that I am often asked by folks if it was a set of twin beds. As far as I know, though, it's just one bed.
Yeah, I'm sure they don't sleep together.
Now we're about the halfway mark of our cruise right now, so we're going to go ahead and cross the lake. As we're crossing the lake, I'll be telling you a little bit more about it. Skinny Atlas Lake is 16 miles long. It's up to 1.5 miles wide at its widest point. We call that area Wide Waters. And it's up to 290 feet deep in places, really popular with scuba divers. Skinny Atlas Lake, as I mentioned, is one of the cleanest lakes in the nation. And there are many reasons for that. And one reason is it's almost entirely spring water fed. There's not a lot of brooks like Sucker Brook back there. And that helps it keep it clean. Also, there is no industry on Skinny Atlas Lake. There is some agriculture, as you see as you look around. But that agriculture, as well as what you put on your lawns, is highly regulated because, of course, we don't want any herbicides or pesticides and fertilizer and such entering the drinking water for the city of Syracuse. It's also very clean because of the watershed. Now, as you entered Skinny Atlas, you might have saw some signs that said, now entering the Skinny Atlas Lake watershed. What that means, if you were to dump water onto one of your car at that moment or at the bus you came in on, that water would eventually make it into the lake. But look around you. All this land you see around you, that is our watershed. Notice how our watershed is hillsides, and those hillsides are close to the lake. For the sides of our lake, 16 miles long and 1.5 wide, we have a small watershed. A small watershed means less runoff. Less runoff means less opportunities for pollution to enter the lake, which is why we have such a clean lake. As I said earlier, this is the drinking water for the city of Syracuse. Syracuse does filter water, but they use no chemical treatment of it because it is so clean. And Skinny Atlas Lake is the highest in elevation of the Finger Lakes, and we're higher in elevation than Syracuse. For that reason, no pumps are used to get the water to Syracuse. It's all gravity fed through a large pipe, and it takes about 3 days for the water to reach Syracuse. I'm also told that Syracuse drinking water is some of the tastiest drinking water around. In fact, if you are from Syracuse or visit Syracuse, be sure to drink the water because it is so good. Skinny Atlas is an Onondaga word. It means long, narrow water or long, skinny water. And we've had a few Onondaga natives cruise with us over the years, and they have continually confirmed that for us. If you folks didn't know, you are actually in the heart of Central New York's wine country. New York State is the second largest producer of grapes and wine in the United States, California being the first, of course, and then a close second is Washington State and New York State. There are many reasons for that. The main reason is you might have noticed out here on the lake today, the weather is really nice. It's nice and cool out here. There's a nice steady breeze. It's like that most of the time. As you were exploring the village, you might have noticed it's a bit warmer there. Well, these hillsides all around us, the sun shines down on them all day long and heats up that land, and then in turn heats up the air. Where the warm air from the land interfaces with the cool air from the lake, that creates the perfect climate for growing grapes, and that's why there's so many vineyards and wineries in central New York along the Finger Lakes. Our local winery is Aniella's. She's not right on the lake, but right nearby. And that's the wine that we serve on board. When you're in the area, be sure to do a wine tour. If you don't have time for a full wine tour, at least do one of the wine tastings at one of the fabulous local wineries that we have here. Directly ahead of us now, you'll see a farmhouse with 3 dormers, those 3 windows across the top. That's known as Brook Farm. It was originally built by John Guy Owsley. Currently owned by the Robinson family. Mrs. Robinson and her late husband were instrumental in starting the Skinny Atlas Festival. That's a festival of chamber music concerts that take place around the lake during the summer in the month of August. And on Saturday nights, those concerts actually take place right there on the lawn of Brook Farm. And famous musicians from around the world are guests of the Robinsons right there at Brook Farm.